Hey there, welcome to Pro Tools 110 Exercise 9 Post-Production Techniques. Hey, we're actually doing some video stuff. And just a reminder, everything we do in this class can be attributed to using this program for video. It's just that most of the lessons are music-based lessons. But don't be frustrated by that because everything we've learned can be used in a video scenario. It's just that finally I'm excited that this is an exercise that actually is all about video. Yes. So here we go. As usual, if you do not have this downloaded to your computer, right here in the first page of the Exercise 9 page in the ebook, there's a link to download the files right here. So let's see what they want us to do. Launch Pro Tools. The dashboard window will appear. Click the Create tab. Okay, so I've got Pro Tools open, right? I actually had an old project open, so I'm going to go ahead and close that session. Okay, now create new. Now it looks like we want to file type wave, 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, stereo mix, interleave is checked. We're going to name this Exercise 9 Agent MX Z3RO and your initials. Got it. And I would create it within the Exercise 9 folder. So in your Pro Tools 110 folder, find Exercise 9 and just save it in there. There we go. New blank session. Oops. So now, let's see. Set up the video. The first thing we want to do is bring in our video and set up our time code. So as I mentioned in class, when you're working with video, you're going to want to have your counters up here. Your main counter, you want it to be set to time code, and you want your sub counter to be set to minutes and seconds. And if you don't have two counters up here, make sure you have the sub counter open because the notes you're going to be using are going to be timecode based, but it's good to see how long the piece is and where you are in the piece, and you can use minutes and seconds for that. So having these two clocks up here is very important. Okay, so we are going to find the Agent MX0 video. So File, Import Video. So here we are in the Exercise 9 Agent MX0 folder. In here is a folder called Agent MX0 Video. Boom, there's the video. Open. Okay. So we want this to start at the session start. Let's see what they're asking us to do. Choose session start and do not import audio from the file. And go ahead and just import it into the session. Got it. Okay. So new track, session start, and do not import audio into the file. If you don't have this information at the top because you're using a different version of Pro Tools, don't worry about it. The main thing is session start and do not import audio from the file. And there it is right there. If you use your Smart tool, then hover over the top half of the video. You can see that there's actually video in there. There you go. Okay, so let's move this over here. Oop. Okay, make sure the time code is set to 23.976. And okay, so this is what we're going to do. This is very important, and it's always good to do this at the beginning of a session. Go up to Setup, Session. This will let you know how your session is set up. So we want to make sure that, yes, we're 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, wave, interleaved. We set all that stuff up. But we want to make sure that this stuff is cool too. We want to make sure that our video is set to 23.976. Why? Because if you look right here, this information right here in the video track lets you know that this video is 23.976. This session window lets you know that your session is 23.976 frames per second. You want to make sure that this information is the same. If this set a different frame rate, then you would want to go to setup session, which is where we're at now, and set that to the same frame rate. Otherwise, you're going to have sync issues. But everything's all good, so we could just leave it. If a dialog box appears, choose maintain relative position, which will keep the video clip at the beginning of the timeline. That did not happen for me. Let's see here. Nope, that didn't happen. So you will occasionally see things that say maintain relative position or force timecode values, things like that. It's good to just kind of make sure that your video is set to whatever timecode that you're getting from the director. So in this case, for example, we are just starting the video at 0, but as you can see, the timecode clock of the video is different than the timecode clock here. Now, what I would do in this case is I would change the beginning timecode of my Pro Tools session to match the timecode of this video. That way, whether I'm looking at the video or whether I'm looking at the timecode up here, it would be the same. That's not what's going on here, but that is something that, for example, right here, session start, you see how it says 000000000? If this first frame of video showed me a timecode clock and it wasn't 0000000, I would just type in, you know, a different, I don't know, let's just say that as a timecode clock. And as you can see, unable to maintain original timecode locations with the entered start time because a clip and or alternate playlist would exist outside of the session boundaries. So you only really want to mess with this timecode stuff if you're given instructions by the video editor that, hey, my video timecode starts at this time, therefore make sure that your session is set up to also start at that same time. So, but we have not been given those instructions, so we're just going to leave it as is. Creating a 2-pop. Okay, so if you've ever seen a countdown, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's see if I can, started looking at the news earlier today. If you ever look at the videos that have countdowns, you can see, let's see, countdown, 2-pop, right there. This is what a 2-pop is. And that helps the projectionist make sure that, yes, the video and audio are in sync. And also helps you, the editor, to know that, yes, the video and audio are in sync when you get the files from the video editor. So that's what the 2-pop is. In this case, we're creating the 2-pop. So let's see how they tell us to do that. Make sure your edit mode is in absolute grid mode with the grid setting of 1 frame. Okay, so we want to make sure that our grid is set to absolute grid and that our grid is turned on and that it is set to timecode 1 frame. And the reason we're doing that is because we're at basically 24 frames per second, and so we want to make sure that the pop happens at a precise frame point. And the best way to do that is to be able to move through our session in grids, frame by frame by frame. If we're in slip mode, who knows where stuff is going to get placed. We could use spot mode for this too, but we're following the instructions and we're doing it the grid way. So we're going to create a mono audio track and name it 2pop. And we're going to select an area that begins at exactly 3 seconds and make it 1 frame long. Okay, so track, new, mono audio track, 2POP. There we go. Now let us go to the beginning of our timeline by hitting the return key, and let's zoom in a little bit. And as you can see, this is our time code. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this little button right here so I can get another ruler. I would also like to see minutes and seconds. Okay, here's minutes and seconds. So we want to go to the 3-second mark, which is right here. And we want, let's see here. So I'm going to select right there. And as you can see, that is where the flash is. Let's zoom in a little more. We are right at the 3-second mark, as you can see. You can also just type in 3 seconds. And it will go right there. Oh, but it looks like this is actually at, there you go. Interesting how that is. It looks like the time code and the minutes and seconds are 0.003 frames off, which is 1/1000th of a frame off. Whoa. But we're in grid mode, so we're going to stick with what they say to do. And the other reason I know we're at the right moment is because at this frame, there is no flash, and at this frame, there is a flash. And the flash is where the beep needs to be. So we need to be at this moment where our time code says 3 seconds, and select 1 frame. 1 frame. And we need to go to Audio Suite, other category, and open up the Signal Generator plugin. Audio Suite, other, Signal Generator. There we go. So frequency, we're creating an audio signal. We're basically just going to create a tone. That tone can be beep, beep, beep. It can be whatever we want. You hear that? That's 1000 hertz. We could type in 2000 hertz. We could type in 3000 hertz and preview it by hitting this little speaker icon. So if we want to create a tone of sound, this is how you do it. And this is the volume. This is the one we want. Let's see what they say. Create a 1 kilohertz or 1000 hertz sine wave in the selected area. Click the render button to create a clip on the track's timeline. And we want it to be negative 20 decibels loud. So you're like, what does all this mean? Well, there's different types of sound waves. There's square sound waves. There's sawtooth sound waves. There's triangle sound waves. But we want a sine sound wave. That's the most common. That's the kind that you hear most often. We want it to be 1000 hertz, and we want it to be negative 20 decibels in volume. Whenever we do test tones in audio, that is the beep sound. It's always negative 20. So this is no different. We have selected this 1 frame right here. So when we hit the render button, watch what happens. Hold on 1 second. There it is. Create continuous file. Hold on a second. Make sure this is all good. Entire selection. Create continuous file. Render. Yeah, this is all good. So, boom, and then. As you can see, oh, I've done it 3 times just for fun. So every time you hit the render button, it creates a new file. See that? See that right there? Now, if you want to put this right here, you take this little guy right there and drop it. Now you notice it created something really, really long. Now you're like, why did it create such a long thing? Well, let's find out. That is actually kind of odd. The way it works with Audio Suite, let's try this again. And we're going to work on this together. We'll undo that. We will select this one frame right there. We have Audio Suite open. Entire selection, create continuous file, and then we hit render. And there it is. Okay, so this is a little point that I'm glad we're working on together. So you'll see whenever it creates a file, it creates a whole file, which is one long tone file, but it also creates a subclip. The subclip, if you might remember from past chapters, a whole file is a file of audio that exists in your audio files folder. A subclip is basically an edited version of that clip that you've done in Pro Tools. We have selected one frame in the timeline and told the signal generator, hey, I want 1000 hertz tone at negative 20 decibels in this session. The whole file is like, I don't know, looks like it is 4 seconds long. However, when we did this, we selected one frame. That is what we want. So it created a whole file, but it also created a subclip for us based on our selection. So instead of dragging the whole file into here, we want to drag the subclip, which is what our selection was, one frame. So now if you watch it, watch and listen. We just made a 2-pop. See that? Very similar to what we just saw in YouTube. There you go. Okay, so now let's go back to that timecode issue we mentioned before. If you look at the burn-in at the bottom of the window of your video, oops, the start of the picture has a location of 10748. This doesn't line up with our timecode. Okay, so let's go to the first frame of video here. There we go. Zoom out a little bit. Go back. 1074801. That is the first frame of video. This doesn't line up with your main counter, which will cause problems if we don't fix it now. Given that the video has 5 seconds prior to the start of the picture, the beginning of the timeline should have a location of 10743. So what does this all mean? Well, let's do some math. First, we'll go up to Setup. Session. Session start. This is where we tell Pro Tools, hey, we want to start this session at a particular time code. However, if you look at the clock here, we are now 5 seconds and 1 frame into this movie. Because our beginning time code, according to this, starts at 0. At the 5 second 1 frame mark, the movie's time code is 01074801. That doesn't match what we're seeing here. We are 5 seconds. Our session starts at 0. Their session, if we subtract 5 seconds and 1 frame, starts at 107:43:00. So we go up to Setup, Session, opens up the session window, and as it says here, we need to set the session start to 107:43. And when we do that, we'll see a dialog box indicating that the time code can't be maintained. That is not a problem. Click the OK button to maintain the relative position of your clips. So let's see what happens. 01. Oh, really? Oh, I just got to do it. There we go. 01, 07. Oops. There we go. You click once on it to highlight the whole thing, and you type in 01:07:43:00. Return. Click OK to maintain relative position. You click OK. Boom. Now look. What's happened is, look at the timecode clock, 107:48:01. Look where we are in the session, 107:48:01. Hit return to go to the beginning of the session. We are starting at 107:43. Here comes the 2-pop. There it is. Look, I stop at 107:49:08, 107:49:08. So whether I'm looking here or up here, the time code is consistent. You always got to make sure that that happens. When you get video from people, it's going to have burned in time code. You want to make sure your time code up here says the same thing. Otherwise, you're going to get out of sync and confused really quickly. So let's bring in some audio. So we did this in previous lessons. Where'd you go? From the File menu, choose Import Session Data. In the browser window, navigate to the exercise materials and go to Exercise 9 subfolder. Open up the Foley folder and the Foley PTX file. Okay, so let's just go to the beginning. Return. File. Oh, and we could close this session window. File. Import Session Data. Okay, so what we're going to import is, in the Exercise 9 folder, Agent MX0 Foley. Double click on that, and we are going to import the Agent MX0 Foley PTX file. Open. Remember, we talked about this in class and also in a previous chapter and exercise. So basically what happened was someone was working on this, this movie, maybe in Premiere, they did some editing. Maybe in another audio editing program, they did some editing. We're basically taking it over. And these are the tracks that have already been made, and there's already stuff on these tracks. And what we're saying is, do we want to bring in these tracks? Right here, if I just keep this stuff where it is, destination, none, what I'm telling Pro Tools is, hey, here's a session, here are some tracks, but I don't want them to go anywhere. So therefore, I would not be bringing any new tracks in. So if I want to actually bring in the tracks that somebody else made for me, I want to make sure that I click on, hey, bring this to a new track. Hey, bring this new track. Hey, bring this one to a new track. And then new tracks will be made with these names, and I can continue where the last person left off. And then up here is all the information that will hopefully match what our session is. 24-bit depth, 48 kilohertz sample rate, wave files, frame rate 23976. And look at that start time, 107:48. Our start time is 107:43. So let's see what they say to do here. Yep, this pretty much summarized what I just said. Different teams work on different types of audio. The Foley team works on Foley, Dialogue team works on Dialogue, and so on. So we need to import tracks from these different sessions, but in a way in which everything lines up. So here's a problem. If you look at the source properties, you'll see that the start time of the session that we are importing is different from the start time of our session. So remember, our session begins at 107:43 now. This session that we're importing starts at 107:48. It's a 5-second difference. So what do we want to do? Well, import all tracks from the session using the following settings. Timecode mapping options. Maintain absolute timecode values. Audio media data copy from source media. If you want a review of what this actually means, this is all explained in lesson 9 in your ebook, also in the PowerPoints. But what this means is maintain the timecode values. Maintain the absolute timecode values. So what it's saying is, if this session is starting at 107:48, then when we maintain absolute timecode values, what it's going to do is it's going to bring in that data and start it at 107:48. So it's actually not a problem because our session starts at 107:43. The one we're importing starts at 107:48. If we maintain the timecode values, it's going to look for where 107:48 is in our session and start everything there. So that actually works. If we said relative timecode values, then it would push everything to the beginning and we would be 5 seconds out of sync. So we want that. We want to import all the tracks. Okay. We want to, let's see, what else are we going to do? Copy from source media. What that means is we are going to look at the source media that's coming in and we're going to make a copy of it and put it into our audio files folder. Just because we're importing. Do we want to just point to it or do we want to copy it into our audio files folder? We always want to do that. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see what else they want us to do. Import, replace existing playlists. Let's see here. Just making sure. Import, replace existing playlists. Yep. Session data, no items selected. Got it. Okay, so then we hit, I guess we're going to hit OK. See what happens. Boom. There we go. So now, let's look. See this right here? Actually, let's zoom out a little bit. See how nothing starts at the beginning? Because the session start was at 107:48. So, and we said absolute value. So if that starts at 107:48 and our session starts at something earlier than that, that's fine. It'll start it at 107:48. We were basically telling it to not change. So that's great. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing, it looks like, for the dialogue folder. Import all tracks from Agent Zero dialog with the same settings that we did in step 4. So we now have all the Foley files. Now we want all of the dialogue files. So import session data. And we want to go to the dialogue folder. Basically what we're doing now, in a very, very basic way, is we're doing what a re-recording mixer is doing. In an audio post project, everyone gets to do their own thing. The Foley people do the Foley, the dialogue people edit the dialogue, the sound effects people edit the sound effects, the music people edit the music. And then the re-recording mixing team comes in and they gather all of those separate elements and put it into one session. That is what we're doing here. So we already got the Foley from the Foley people. Now we're going to get the dialogue from the dialogue people. here is the Dialog Pro Tools thing. Open. Again, their work starts at 107.48. We don't want to change that. We want this to get placed at the 107.48 mark, so we will maintain those absolute timecode values. We want to copy from source media because we want to make sure there's a copy of all that in our audio files folder. And we want to make sure everything goes to a new track. Not going to import any of this stuff. We are going to import, we're going to place existing playlists. Hit OK. Boom. And look at all that. So now, let's see what they say. And you look at our clip list. Look at all this stuff. We've imported all of this stuff. And everything that's highlighted right now is everything that we just imported. I haven't looked at this yet, so this will be interesting. When you're done, you can reorganize and resize your tracks in any way that makes sense to you. When you play your session, you should hear most, but not all, of the sonic elements, and what you should hear should line up in the picture. Okay. So dialogue should always go above. The master, submasters, and masters should always be at the bottom, and dialogue should always be at the top. So I am going to shift select all of the dialogue and drag it all the way up. Let's see here. Between the 2-pop and the video track right there. Let it go. I'm going to take the 2-pop. I'm going to bring it down. I'm not really sure to put 2-pop, but let's just put it. No, you know what? Let's keep the 2-pop where it is. We're going to keep it right under the video. There we go. And the Foley should stay where it is. The DX sub, we're going to put that by the FX sub. There we go. So it should look like this. Video, 2-pop, all of your dialogue tracks which are in blue, all your Foley tracks which are in green, then your dialogue submix, your FX submix, your submaster, and your master. So let's go ahead and let's click on 107. Let's go to 107.48.00 and see what this sounds like.
Of course, the minimum for this game is a bit above your pay grade.
So it looks like there's a couple lines that aren't in there yet, but as you can see, the lines that are in sync.
Maybe. But I thought tonight I'd play with this.
Yes. That will do nicely. Excellent.
Listen to that Foley.
Excellent.
There we go. So we imported everything and everything is in sync. Good. And you know why? Because everyone was working with the same time code. Everyone's clocks were synchronized, so everything is in sync. Thank goodness. It looks like there are a few sounds missing, so we're going to import them. So from the window menu, we're going to open up a new workspace, and we are going to go to the audio files folder and drag them into our clip list. So, window, workspace, default. So let's find the audio files folder that is in the exercise 9 folder. Let's see here. Not that one. Is it that one? No, not that one. So it's going to volumes and probably in your documents folder in whatever computer you're working on. But mine's in a different folder. You just want to go to your Project 9 exercise media folder. The one that's got all of these folders. And then you want to go to the one called audio files. You want to shift select those and option drag them into your clip list to make sure that they actually gets copied in there. There we go. Agent first line, Casino, Mysterion first line. So I guess we're going to be putting that stuff in there. So click anywhere out of there so that they're deselected. Okay. Drag the casino from the clips list to the tracks list. Okay, so we're going to go casino, drag it to the tracks list, and it's now, and remember, whenever you drag a clip from the tracks list, it automatically makes a new track named after that clip and places it at the start of your session. It's a really quick way to get something into your session, but obviously it's not timed because it just puts the clip automatically at the beginning whenever you do this. Also, it's at the bottom of the session. This, I believe, is a sound effect, so I am going to put this up here, right above the first Foley track, because it does not belong at the bottom. Okay, so it looks like in the start of the spot dialog box, type 10748, because this is meant to start when the video starts. So as you can see, this is one long audio file. So we want to click on spot and just click on it. And like, where do we want this to start? 10748. Okay. So now it starts there. It looks like there might be, who knows what sound is there? I wonder what this is.
Perhaps I should ante up as well.
Hear that? It's basically it's atmosphere. It's casino atmosphere. So I'm gonna solo it. See? It's just murmuring. It's like Walla and just casino sounds in the background.
Maybe. But I thought tonight, I'd play with this.
See, if this wasn't there,
Yes. That will do nicely.
it just sounds like they're in like someone's bedroom.
Most excellent.
But now they're in a casino.
Going rogue with Mysterion is a very bad idea, Zero.
Okay. So, what else? This is an ambient clip, so lower the volume until it's barely audible and doesn't distract from the dialogue. Okay, well, so let's go to the mix window. Casino. Let's lower it. And you see, this is how I'm lowering it. We're gonna lower to about, I don't know, say like 10, anywhere around 10, really. Hit play.
Of course, the minimum for this game.
Here it is louder.
Above your pay grade.
Here it is lower.
But I thought tonight,
So just kind of listen to see what sounds good to you. I agree with them. Around 10 seems good. You can still hear it, but it's not distracting from the audio.
Most excellent.
Going rogue with Mysterion.
Okay, so we just lowered the volume there. That's a good little mix. Let's see here. Ooh, I skipped this part. Set the output of the track to be FX sub from the bus category. Oh, okay, got it. Oh, I see what they want. Interesting. I don't think you have to do that, but let's follow the direction. Put this back up to 0. And in the mix window, click our output on casino to FX sub.
It's a very bad idea, Zero.
Oh yeah, you can still lower it to 10. So evidently it's going to the effects sub track, and I guess at some point we'll put some sort of insert on it to give it a little bit of reverb or something. But for now, it's going to the FX sub for some future I don't know, reverb effect, I'm guessing. But we still don't want it to be that loud. So yeah, we'll go ahead and keep the fader at 10.
Not responsible.
Okay. Next step. 2 lines of dialogue are missing at the beginning. So we're going to change our edit mode to slip, use the selector tool, and place our edit cursor at 107.55.13. Okay, so let's go back to the edit window. Go to slip mode. And I just do this. Just go up here. 107.55. 55, 13, and now we are precisely at the point that they want us to be at. That's really, for me, a quick way to go somewhere quickly in Pro Tools if you know the time code. Holding the Control and Start key, drag the Agent first line clip onto the finished track. AX. Okay, got it. Okay, so remember, when you hold down the Control key on a Mac, it snaps the clip to where your selection is. So our cursor is. So our cursor is at 107, 55, 13. We are going to, on this track, place a clip called Agent First Line. So here's Agent First Line. I'm going to hold down the Control key on the Mac or Start key on Windows. Click and hold. And as I drag it in here, look at that. See, it snaps. It snaps to where that cursor is. And then we want it, I guess, right here. Right? Agent. Yeah, AMXE ADR1. Yep, that's the one. So let's see what that sounds like.
Always.
There it is.
Always.
There you go. Last, in snapping a sync point. The first line of the villain isn't quite so easy. The first word he says, now, isn't easy to see, and much of the line is delivered with the character out of frame. Let's use sync points to line up with a more visually clear part of the line. Okay. There we go. So we're going to drag the Mysterion first line clip onto the Mysterion DX finished track. Oh, for snapping to a sync point. Got it. So let's get this out of the way. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, where is that Mysterion finished track? There it is, right there. Okay. So Mysterion first line right here. Click on it. Drag it. We're just dragging it anywhere on here. He's going to say it in here somewhere. Obviously, that's not synced up.
Before we get to your impending doom.
It almost works, but obviously that's not it. So zoom in on the clip so you can clearly see the waveform. Zoom toggle makes this easy. Okay, so this is the clip we just dragged in. Using the grabber tool, click on it. So whatever's highlighted, when you click on zoom toggle, that is what basically fills up your edit window. So it looks like one of these waveforms we want to zoom in on.
Now. Now. Now.
So this is the word now.
Now.
Okay. Place your cursor where Mysterion says care. Tab to transient makes this easy. So this is tab to transient. What tab is, when you hit the tab key, it'll go from clip to clip. But when you go tab to transient, which is this button right here, it will go from waveform to waveform. If it's, see how it goes, this is quiet, and then loud, and then quiet, and then loud, quiet, loud, quiet, loud. Every time it goes from quiet to loud is a transient moment. So hit tab, watch. So this is a way we can go from basically word to word.
Before we get to your impending doom. Care to try your...
We go to care.
Care to...
Right here.
Care to...
So hit tab, it's right there. So create a sync point. So what we're going to do is a sync point will be if we go up to clip, identify sync point, what it'll do is it'll create a little sync point where the selector is located. Watch what happens. Identify sync point, boom. And then if you look at the bottom, there we go, right there. That is our sync point. It's right where he says the word care, where our selector is. Now that we've done that, let's find the place where he speaks the word care in the video. It's visible at 107.53.14. Place your edit cursor there. So we're going to go to 107.53.14. 107.53.14. This is where he says it. Let's unzoom toggle. There we go. Actually, let's zoom out a little bit. There we go. So this is where we are, 107.53.14. This is where he says the word care. This is the sync point we identified. So we basically want to move this whole clip so the sync point is right here. So what we do is we hit Shift Control on the Mac or Shift Start on Windows and move it using the grabber. Shift, Control, click and hold, and this point will line up with this. Boom. See that? Let's do that again so you can see. Shift, Control. Oop, 107. I shouldn't have undid that and I have to do it again. 107, 53, 14. Boom. Shift, Control, click, boom. Now let's see how that works.
Care to try your skill? Care to try your skill?
Whoa. Wow. What's going to happen next? There we go. I actually still think it's a couple frames off. So if I were you, you could do this later. You can go using nudge. Set your nudge to timecode. Maybe half a frame. And maybe just kind of nudge it a little bit.
Care to try?
Okay, that didn't work. I would suggest you guys try that on your own because I personally think this is just a little bit out of sync. But I think that if you mess around with it a little bit, you could find a way to put it in sync.
Care to try your skill?
Clip effects to the rescue. So, remember, clip effects are effects that you apply to specific clips, but they're real-time effects. So it's kind of like an insert effect, except insert effects affect the whole track. Audio suite effects affect just clips, but audio suite effects need to be rendered. Clip effects don't. So clip effects have the value of insert effects in being real-time, but they have the value of audio suite effects in the sense that they don't apply to the whole track, just individual clips. It's a really quick way to like kind of spot fix little bits of audio. So on the ADR1 finish track, select an area from 801 to 807. Okay, so let's go over there. So let's just go to 08, 01, see what they're talking about. Okay, so about this area right here. Okay, so it looks like they want us to do something to this area about right there. So it basically went from about 801, 807, 808. That's fine. We just need to select all this right here. Then we want to turn on clip effects. View, other displays, clip effects, or up here, this little window right here, click on that. Come on, dude. There we go. Clip effects. Either way, you'll get this awesome window that pops up. Select the second clip, but I thought tonight, and using clip effects, oh, here we go. Listen to the second clip, but I thought tonight is a bit too boomy, and the third clip lacks some energy. Because they're both on the same track, putting a plug-in on insert will cause as many problems as it solves. So, select the second clip, but I thought tonight, gently reduce the low frequencies and boost the highs. Okay, so this clip right here.
Play with this.
Oh, I guess it's this one.
But I thought tonight. But I thought tonight. But I thought tonight. But I thought tonight.
Oh, I see. They just wanted us to select this area to know what we're working with. But now we are going to click on this, lower this a little bit. It's a little boomy. So we're lowering low frequencies and raising the high frequencies just a little bit to give it a little bit more crispness and lower the boominess of it.
But I thought tonight. But I thought tonight. But I thought tonight. But I thought tonight.
If we want, and we want to see what it's, and look, see where it says EQ? This lets us know that we have applied an effect to it. So whenever you apply a clip effect, when you click on it, it shows you what you've done, and the clip itself in the edit window shows you that you've added some EQ. If I added a compressor, it would show that as well. And if I want to go do a before and after, that's what this bypass button is all about.
But I thought tonight. 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 But I thought tonight.
There we go. Okay, and what do they want us to do for the other one? Like he says, let your ears be your guide. Headphones will really help with this. When you're just using computer speakers, it's going to be really hard to tell what you're doing. You need either really awesome studio speakers or headphones. So the third clip, I'd play with this. Boost the low end a little and raise the input trim. Okay. So here are some settings you can use as a starting point. Okay. So, wow, look at this. This is cool. Input trim, 5 decibels. So, he goes, I'd play with this.
Play with this.
So what he's talking about here is, first, we're going to, what does he say here? Boost the low end a little bit and raise the input trim. Okay.
Play with this. Play with this. Play with this. Play with this.
Okay. Now input trim. See this right here? Let's make it 5 decibels. So what we're doing here is we're making it louder.
I play with this.
See, look at, here it is. Here it is without the EQ boost and the input trim boost.
I play with this. I play with this.
And here it is with the EQ boost and the input trim boost.
I play with this. I play with this. I play with this.
It's a little louder. Remember before when we learned about gain and let's see here. Clip gain info. There we go. Like this right here.
I play with this.
That's clip gain. Input trim is something very similar. You are increasing the volume of the clip before it gets to the fader. So it's kind of like, you can see how loud this is right here and how quiet this is right here. We want this volume to match this volume. It's because he's like, look at this. Look at this. We don't want it to be up and down in volume like this. So what we're doing is we are trying to make him sound like, as far as the EQs go, to be similar throughout the whole thing. But we also want the volume to be similar throughout the whole thing. This volume is good.
But I thought tonight.
But this volume needs a little 5 decibel boost. So that is what input trim does. This one might need it too, in my opinion. Let's give this one like 5 decibels as well. So let's hear what it sounds like now. This has got a 4 decibel. This has got a 5 decibel boost. This one does not, but it does have some EQ. And this one has a 5 decibel boost. So let's hear how it sounds now.
Right.
Maybe. But I thought tonight. I play with this.
Again, use your ears as your guide. I would spend some more time on the EQ. I think these 3 lines were all sound, right now the volume sounds better, but there's something off with the EQ between this one, and this one.
Maybe. But I thought tonight I'd play with this.
So maybe this one, I would actually bring the high EQ down because it sounds a little crisp, and maybe not lower the low end as much.
Maybe. But I thought tonight I'd play with this.
Ooh, and maybe this one, I would maybe not bring this up as much. I could probably bring that up a little bit. There we go. Let's see what this sounds like.
Maybe. But I thought tonight I'd play with this.
That's better. So again, use your ears. If he's sounding muddy, lower the lower decibel, or lower the lower decibels, lower the lower frequencies, and maybe increase the higher frequencies to bring in crispness. That's what I just did to make this line sound more like this line. This is what dialogue editors do, folks, and I think this actually sounds a lot better than it did.
Maybe. But I thought tonight I'd play with this.
Ooh, that's good. All right. So, that's it. That's it for this one. Save it. And what I would like to see is I would like to see this clip effects window open. I would like to see pretty much just this. I want to see the clip effects list open. I want to see this ADR track highlighted like this, because I want to see that you actually applied clip effects to them. And also, just seeing these tracks right here will let me know that yes, you actually imported all these Foley and dialogue tracks. If you take a screenshot of exactly this, then I'll know that you did this exercise properly. So that's it. Good job. Exercise 9.